Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Faith and Freedom Friday. And today we're going to talk about generational wealth through the Joseph plan of 20% savings. So I'm excited to talk about this. It's just something that we all need. You know, the Bible, I love it. I call it the basic instructions before living earth. So it gives you it gives you everything you need to be able to create the life that you desire to create and that God called you to create. And the great thing, as the song says, He knows our name. He knew us before we were even born. So if you're that person that has a gift, a talent, or skill, and He called you to use that gift to help and serve other people, you found yourself in the right place. My name is Cathy, and I am the founder of Bible Business Academy, where we help you build a business with biblical principles. So let's go ahead and get started. Grab a pen and paper, y'all, because this is going to be good for you all today and help you as you build your business and also create your plans. I've been a licensed financial advisor, I don't know, for maybe 30 years or so now. So I love to be able to not only show you how to build that business, but also how to be good stewards of this. And as I always say, sometimes you got to take your own advice, right? So let me go ahead and turn this off and let's go ahead and get things started for you today here. How is everyone? Let me know where you're tuning in from. Let me put the chats on. Let me know if you're catching this during the live or during the replay. Good morning again. And today, y'all, as I said, we're going to dive into the powerful biblical principles of stewardship. If you can see there on the screen, we're going to talk about multiplication and legacy principles that resonate just as much today as they did in the time of Joseph. So I want to explore some lessons from Joseph's stewardship that we can learn from and what he did during the seasons of abundance. So if you're like, some people have those as seasons of abundance, they have the seasons of phantom, and then it goes abundance to phantom to abundance, phantom to abundance. So it will be seasons. There are seasons in the Bible where you may do very, very well, and then there are seasons when it's not going to be so well. So how are you handling that? And so that's why we're going to start and look at the story of Joseph, who was entrusted with the responsibility of managing Egypt's resources during both times of abundance and famine. Now, the question becomes, what are you entrusted with now during abundance and famine? How are we managing that? And if you manage it right, it will last. If not, it won't. So you got to learn these lessons. And no matter where you're at, whether it's not working and you need to get it right, or if it is working and you haven't added these principles, this will definitely help you out. So you could be without anything right now. It's a season. And it could be because of the way things were managed in the past, the decisions that you made that you find yourself in that situation, and it's okay. Today is the day that it all can change for you, right? Today is the day that it all can change for you. See, God gave Joseph some wisdom and foresight, prompting him to set aside 20% of Egypt's produce during 7 years of plenty. So when you think about, he prompted him, and we have the Holy Spirit in us. So do you get those promptings that, oh, maybe you shouldn't buy that, or maybe you shouldn't make that decision, but you do it anyway? Those are the things that I want you to look at and be cautious of, and know how to fix that. Because if you know that the decisions that you're making not only will hurt you, but will also hurt other people, then it's time to make some new decisions. And that's what you have to think about. It's not just that Joseph did it in his time and that God gave it to him. He also gives it to us because he loves us that much. And this just wasn't good planning. It was God-inspired stewardship. And that's the key right there. When the Holy Spirit speaks to you, it's listen. When you get that nudge, don't do this, listen. Now you got to be able to discern, what's coming from the Holy Spirit and what's coming from the flesh. And that's not to say that when you're building your business, you won't find struggles. I've found struggles in every business that I built, and a lot of people as well have. That's just part of the cycle that you go through. It's like Joseph, from his dream to the pit, to the palace, and then ruling everything. He had to go through something to get to something. So don't think just because you have that insight that you're not going to go through things. He went through things as he was being obedient and got to that position because he kept praising God no matter what season he was in. So when that 7 years of famine came, Egypt not only had enough to sustain itself, but it also became a source of life and hope for surrounding nations. So I'm going to show you this tool that we have on the screen in a minute, and you can also get a copy of that. Just in the comments, put Rule of 72, and we'll get that over to you. In today's world, see, you might not be dealing with literal props, but we are each given resources by God. And whether we're in a season of abundance or challenges, the principles are the same. It's not just about how much we make, but how we manage what we are given. Let me repeat that. It's not just about how much we make, but how we manage what we are given. And that's the important thing. And, I always say you got to check yourself before you wreck yourself. And if when you sit down, just make daily decisions that make sense, not just for today, but for future generations. And when I show you this plan that's on here, it'll give you an idea of what it can grow to when you start making those different decisions. So next, let's go ahead and look at God's commandments in Genesis and where this is coming from. In Genesis 1:28, God gave us a fundamental commandment. It all started there. He said, be fruitful, multiply, and replenish the earth. Be fruitful, multiply, and replenish the earth. So how fruitful are we in getting up and doing what he called us to do? How fruitful are we in knowing how to multiply it, which we can call scale? And how fruitful are we in replenishing stuff, the resources that we've been entrusted with? Those are the things that we want to literally sit down and have a plan in place. And those are some of the things that we help you with in Genesis Academy. And we have, modules that cover just what we're speaking about here, and also where you can set up your game plan to know where you're at, where you want to go, how much you need to save, what you need to make in order to make that happen. And this and some rules, which we're going to talk about, that will help you in that. See, this just isn't about your family or your work. It's a calling to create, grow, and wisely manage what we're given. So let me know in the comments if that's making sense to you. So if you look at in today's context of being fruitful and multiply, you can use your unique talents to create a thriving online business. You can use it to invest in ways that allow your wealth to grow. You can use it to leave a legacy that blesses generations. There's a lot depending on us. And it also reminds us that God designs us for us to build things wisely. He didn't design us just to be haphazardly and not thinking about these things. So if we take Joseph, he set aside that portion, that 20%, and we position ourselves not only for personal security, but also to bless others. Because he said you're blessed, so be a blessing, right? And when you take the money that you earn and you use it in the right way, giving that 10% to God first, taking that 20% and setting it aside for the future, just imagine how your life can change, and also generations. That'll be money that you don't even touch, but it's monies for generation. And a lot of times, people say, wow, I'm going to spend everything I got. I'm not leaving nothing to my kids. But that's not what he called us to do. He said, leave an inheritance to your children's children. And if you're like me and you don't have children, that means your nieces, your nephews, your family. I always think of my dad. He's been gone for almost 35 years. And my mom, who is 91-ish almost, she still hasn't had to work because he was a good steward of his money and his resources and staying out of debt and what he did. Now, I always say, I wish I would have listened to him when he told us some of these principles that I'm even talking about nowadays. But it is never too late, no matter what position you're in. It's just a mindset and a shift in changing. So I want you to imagine building an online course or investing in skills that you can create a stream of income that you can pass on to your future generations. I mean, that's amazing that you get to be able to do this, which is why the Bible also talks about inheritance and legacy. So, my question is, do you have a plan to leave a lasting impact? Do you have a plan in place to leave a generational wealth? Do you have a plan? I remember, I don't know, maybe it was a few weeks before my dad left this earth. He pulled me to the side and said, "Hey, if anything happens to me, I have everything set up so your mom and your little brother," I was 27 at the time. I think my little brother was 12. He's 16 years younger than me. So she would never have to worry. And he did that. He did that because of his discipline and his belief in taking care of his family, not only when he was here, but also when he was gone. So that is very, very important. Proverbs 13:22 tells us a good person leaves an inheritance for their children's children. There's a reason why that Proverbs is in there, and it speaks to the power of generational wealth, not only in terms of finances, but also values, education, and faith. All of this comes hand in hand. When we build and manage wealth God's way, and we do it God's way, we're doing more than just securing our future. We're creating a legacy. And this legacy, y'all, is more than financial stability. You also want to equip your children and your children's children with tools that will help them throughout their life to be able to honor God and what He called us to do. And, that's why He said, if you train them, because you can even start training your children when they're young, if they got allowances, to give that 10, set aside that 20%. And teach them these habits. When you start teaching these habits at a young age, they stick with you. He said, train a child as you want them to go, if I can talk today, and they won't depart. So that's why this is so, so important. And when you're relating this to Joseph's 20% principle in today's financial growth, you could still do that in today's world. And so just the question becomes, how do we implement Joseph's principle of setting aside 20%? And so you can do that through investment. You can do it through automatic savings. You can set aside a portion of what you earn and invest it wisely. You can reinvest back into your business. You can create streams that grows and support you over time. Those are just like some of the ways. And that's why, creating online courses is a great way to do that and have that residual income coming in. So I'm going to give you an example. Let's say you earn $250,000 a year. And if you invest it at 20% of that, that's 50,000 that you're going to invest. So the rule of 72, you can use that to calculate how long it will take for your investment to double, depending on the rate of your return. And if it's invested at 12%, that means your money is going to double every 6 years. So imagine that. Imagine the impact of 20 years of disciplined investing and where every dollar is growing. So I'm going to share this generational wealth plan sheet that you see on the screen with you in a second, so that you can see a practical example, and you can also just put rule of 72 in the comment, and that way you can get a copy of this. And I'm going to break down what 20% savings could look like in various income levels. And I hope this is bringing you value. Let me know if you're getting value from this. So when you take this visual aid that we're going to show you, it'll show you how to manage a small portion. Now you might be saying, well, I'm nowhere near 250. That's okay. If you're making $10, set aside $1 for give a dollar to God, and take $2 and save it. And now you got the other $7 to work with. So that's living below your means, right? Not living with what you're making, but living below your means. so that you can make that happen for yourself. And when you're managing that small portion, it can lead to a huge blessing. So if you like a copy of this wealth plan, just comment. I probably said comment wealth plan, comment rule of 72. It doesn't matter. Just put something in the comments and I'll get this over to you. I just want to be able to help you step into God's call to multiply your blessings with a plan. Because just remember that wealth isn't just about accumulating, it's also about multiplying resources, managing them wisely, and ultimately blessing others, because that's what He called us to do, to bless other people. So when we adopt the mindset of stewardship, God can use us to provide not only for our families, but for our communities, for our churches, and for future generations. So commit to managing whatever you have, whatever you've been given. Ask yourself, are you doing it diligently? Are you seeking opportunities to grow and invest and walking in freedom, knowing that you're going to build something that honors God and bless the people that are around you. So no matter where you may be today, guys, you can always get started. So let me, I'm going to go over to the other screen and I'm going to just go down here and share that with you. And on this page too, this is going to tell you about the rule of 72 and how that works. So make sure if you want to get a copy of that, just comment rule of 72 or wealth or something, or give me the sheet, girl. You can put that in there as well so that you can get a copy of that. Okay, so let me flip over here and then we're going to just share with you. All right, so it says we just talked about the rule of 72. And so on here, I give you an example as to how the money grows. So any rate, just divide that by 72 and it's going to tell you how many years it takes your money to double. So if you're getting 3% every 24 years, your money's going to double. So whatever age you're at, if you're starting at 20, 24 years later, you're 45. So if you have 1,000, you're going to have 2. And then 24 years after that, you're going to have that 2 becomes 4. That's how simple that rule works. But if you look here, it gives you 20% at 250 at 6%, 20% at 250 at 12%, 20% at $500,000 at 6%, and 20% at $500,000 at 12%. And we do the same thing at $1 million. So just looking your first year, this is what you would be saving. You got 50, 100, 200,000. So if I go down here to 7 years of, let's say you're making 250 over the 7 years, that's 419,000. If you're at $1 million in income, that's $2 million that you were able to save over the next 7 years. So if I go down to 14 years, you see how that's double. That's $1 million. And we go over here, that's 6.4 million. That is the power of compound interest. If we take it down to 20 years, so if you're 20, then look if you're 40. If you're 40, look what can happen when you're 60. If you're 60, look what can happen when you're 80. It is never too late to get started, no matter where you're at. So in 20 years, that becomes 1.8 million. And over here, it becomes 7.2 million, and then it becomes $14 million. So no matter where you're at, you just want to ask yourself, am I willing to do the work that I need to do so that I can learn the things that I need to learn, so that I can help the people that I'm called to help while I'm here, and I can leave the legacy I was destined to leave. So I hope that brought you value today. If you need help in starting your business online, whether that's a course business or a product business and getting that going, go to BibleBusinessAcademy.com and /order, and you can learn about our Genesis Academy, where we help you do just that. And we have an amazing Black Friday special right now. So go ahead and make sure you take a look at that. All right, y'all, I appreciate you. Have an awesome and amazing day. Let me know if you caught this during the live or the replay, and what was your biggest aha moment out of it. Have a wonderful and beautiful